Ricky Gervais is here. He is the co-creator and star of the BBC series The Office. He portrays the shallow and oblivious office manager David Brent. Here he is in action.
Yeah, there are limits to my comedy. There are things that I will never laugh at. The handicapped. Because there's nothing funny about them. Or any, deformity. Yeah. It's like when you see someone look at a little handicapped and go, oh, look at him, he's not able-bodied. I am. I'm prejudiced. Yeah? Well, at least the little handicapped fella is able-minded. Unless he's not. It's difficult to tell with the wheelchair ones. So just give generously to all of them.
The Office special will air on BBC America on Thursday, October 21st at 9 p.m. At the 2004 Golden Globe, Gervais received 2 awards for Best Male Comic Performance and Best Comic Series. I am pleased to have him here at this table for the first time. Welcome.
Hello.
My staff and people that I know throughout this country are crazed for this series. Tell me what it is. I mean, and it's a British sensibility, isn't it?
Well...
Or an English sensibility?
It seems that, I think, because we spoke colloquially and we used... our own accents, our own voices. It's very parochial in that sense, and it's about stifled ambitions and not even getting to, like, the capital city. But yeah. I think the themes are pretty universal. And, in fact, my influences are all American. I mean,
Your influences?
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Like what?
Well, Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
From the beginning, the best.
Right.
Hasn't really been improved on too much. Spinal Tap, a direct influence, a fake documentary. Larry Sanders, just in style, the fact that, that was one of the few sitcoms that didn't have a laughter track and didn't have mawkish endings, and it was about flawed characters. And the themes are much more than just a guy goofing around doing slapstick. It's about, making a difference and wasting your life and, boy meets girl, which is certainly, I learnt from Americans, we don't really do that.
In that context, when you set out to create this, your idea was to combine all that you just said.
Yeah.
And more. Why an office setting?
Because my English teacher always said, write about what you know. And I worked for 8 years in an office as a middle manager, having to do training days and laugh at the boss's jokes. So, I had a big bag of observations. And also, I wanted it to, as I say, be about the minutiae of human behaviour. And if you set something in the future or on the moon or on an oil rig, there's too much time taken up on explaining it. So everyone's worked in an office, and so they know the dynamic. They know if someone looks at their watch, they're bored. If they look at a girl, they fancy her. Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows that. So we can delve much more into more interesting things.
Into the conflict or crisis or
that's what
bewilderment or whatever it might be.
That's all drama is, conflict and crisis.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
You can get that, you got it made.
That's it. and a good dance.
Yeah, and someone said sincerity, and when you can fake sincerity, you got it made.
That's it. That's it.
All right, tell me about the Christmas special, because I want to see a scene from that.
The Christmas special is, if you like...
Is it about Christmas?
Well, it's not really, no. That's the backdrop, but that's an excuse to get them all back together, really. But it's a follow-up. It's like, if you imagine that the first 2 series were filmed around sort of 2001, and now a different documentary team have come back as an update. So now we can explore the fact that these people were on television.
Yeah. Oh,
and so,
right.
This
is a scene from the Christmas special in which your character visits his former office to see Gareth, who now has his old job. Roll tape to me.
David Brent is a man who ended up somewhere he didn't think he'd be at that age. He's an underachiever with a huge blind spot, which has caused him a bit of a midlife crisis. Luckily, he's in denial, so he's a bit of a satisfied fool in many ways. Or is he, he's not a bad person. He wants to be the life and soul, but he's just confused sort of popularity with respect. And he's just a bit wounded, really. He's free-falling, and he needs a hug.
You said, I think, somewhere that he mistakes respect for popularity.
Yeah, there's worse crimes, and he doesn't know quite what to do. you'd want to sort of sit him down and say, look, chill out, you're all right. Just you don't have to try so hard. And also, it's if there's a couple of themes to The Office, but one of them is that people think fame will sort them out. You know, in the 90s in Britain, and I know you've got it at the moment. There's normal people at work. Being
reality television, they call it. Yeah.
Exactly, and they think that fame will sort everything out. Yeah. And it doesn't. You know, they get. If
I could just get on television, all my problems would be solved.
It's madness, isn't it?
And the reason that resonates with everybody is because they see themselves in him?
I think there's a little bit of there, but for the grace of God go I. I think it's also that what most people laugh at is few, at least I'm not like that. But there's also a little bit of, oh, God, I've done that. Yeah. I know what that feels like. And people come up to me and they say, oh, I love your show. People say I'm just like David Brent. And I go, well, that's a bad thing. You want to keep that to yourself.
Like
yeah. But
because David Brent's on television, they see.
That's it. Yeah.
They identify with it.
And we explore that in the special more because obviously we acknowledge that he's been out on television, and now he's trying to capitalise on his 15 minutes of fame and prove Andy Warhol wrong by a few minutes. He wants 17.
18, 20.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is also, everybody wants to ask this question. How much of you is David Brent, if any?
Well, I used his face and his vocal cords.
Yes.
Obviously, I had to put on
his physique?
No, I had to put on a lot of padding. I mean, as they can see, I'm about 6'3", about 24, and
yes, you are.
I had to age myself up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you did that.
Terrible posture as well in that.
Exactly.
It's still part of it. I played Richard III once, and I suppose
it carried over.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. You can't forget Richard III once you do it.
Yeah, no one played him like me. I suppose I don't know. There's a bit of Brent in everyone. We all want to be loved. We all care what other people think about us behind our back, whether we admit it or not.
Yeah. I mean, I've never met somebody, in the end, as tough as they say.
Yeah, of course.
You know, they remember.
Things hurt. I mean, I suppose I like the company of people like Brent does.
You mean to have people around you?
Yeah.
You're not a loner.
I think Brent likes people. Unlike someone like Finchy or maybe Neil, I think he really is.
And wants to be with them.
I think he does. I think he enjoys humanity. He just wants to know that he's part of it, and he wants.
Does he want to be the centre of it?
Yeah. I mean, if given a choice, he would. But he doesn't mind being part of a team as long as he gets a pat on the back now and again. And I think he's all right. He's not one of those people that. It's not enough for him to succeed, his friends have to fail. He's not like that at all. And, he generally does, he just wants to be part of something. It's like, he says, this is my family, and you can see that he means it. And, even if he was famous, I still think he'd talk fondly of, Wernham Hogg and pop back in there.
Yeah, for a lot of people, the Office is a family. They're a family more, because they spend more time with them than they do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Their family, and families are always changing.
And the strange thing about that
they're
is
gone. And
it's arbitrary. No one grows up saying, I want to work in an office. It's you're thrown together with people you have not necessarily anything in common with, other than you go through the same door, and that's interesting as well because. The Office isn't a snobby look at 9 to 5 or white collar. I've done.
It's not a snobby look.
No, it's not at all.
It's not condescending
not at all. No, it's hopefully it's a realistic look or an affectionate look.
Affectionate,
even.
for sure.
I think it is, and I think that as I say, I've done it again. But if there is a theme or a warning or a moral, it's don't kid yourself. If you're not happy doing that and working near where you live. Don't kid yourself. Don't wake up at 65 and go, oh, no, I was meant to write a book. And, we tried to show that with Tim.
Yeah, that, it must be the worst feeling. I mean, somehow, if only.
Yeah, and it is scary. Yeah, it's scary to take a chance.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've said this frequently on this program and elsewhere. I mean, it seems to me that you will regret more what you said no to than what you said yes to.
That's true in life, not true in show business. I've never regretted saying no, and I say no to everything.
Oh, that's true. That's an interesting one.
It's the opportite.
It really is the opposite. I never thought about that. That's
Absolutely.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Because you say no to parts and things that you would have, or opportunities. And
exactly.
Have you said no to sort of Hollywood Comes Calling?
Yeah. I mean, for loads of reasons, really. I've said no to, every British movie I've been offered because they're all rubbish. We can't do it. You do it. And I've said no to all the Hollywood ones for many reasons. Some have been good, some have been bad. But the reason I said no to the good ones are because they're a distraction to what I do. I'm not a film star. I'm a writer-director. And I could go around for the next 3 years popping up as the token Brit on, on films and TV because the producer or the director's a fan of The Office. And that 3 years could have been spent writing another programme. And that's what I do. Really.
Write programs.
That's what I do. Yeah. I write programs.
Now, I mean, but where do you put The Office in that whole context of writing programs?
It's the best one I've ever written because it's the only one.
That's exactly. That's what I was going to say.
When I say programs, yeah. I write program. I think The Office is my greatest
How about
hit.
this? You wrote a program.
I wrote a program. I'm counting them as 3.
Each season.
I should have changed the name. Office, Another Office, The Workplace.
I've created 3 programs: Office,
exactly.
Office Plus, and Office Plus Plus.
And just think, by American standards, I've done half a season. Like you go 22, 26.
And how many have you done? What's a season in London?
Well, we did 6. 6 per season. But they're 29 and a half minutes.
This is hardly...
Your half hours are 22 minutes. Yeah. So, it all adds up. I had to have a lie down after 6.
You did?
Yeah.
I mean, how long did it take you to film 6?
6 weeks.
And then what did you do for the...
With weekends off and long lunch breaks. And we didn't start till about 9.
What did you do for the other 46 weeks?
Right.
Yeah.
It's all preparation.
Creating programs is not easy, is it?
No, it's not.
Oh, no, creating a program is not easy.
Creating a program is not easy.
But let me just understand this. You do not think of yourself as an actor.
No, I don't. No. If someone had to, if I had to sum it up, I'd say I'm a comedian. But if I had to break it down, I write and direct comedy, and I'll take a role in that, or not. I mean, if I had to give up one, I'd rather write and direct for other people than being other people's stuff.
So okay, good. The choice is between being in someone else's stuff or not.
Yeah,
not doing.
I mean, I'm sure I will, and if the right thing comes along, and it's just great fun, and and it's something that I think I can do. But you've got to remember as well that a lot of the roles are arbitrary. I mean, I like to think that I was the best person to play David Brent, whereas the things I get handed, I'm probably the 10th one they asked, and there's another 50 in the queue. So it doesn't feel important or integral that I do it.
But you clearly must believe that the reason David Brent is doing so well and resonates so well with an audience is because the actor who has created him has talent, ability, presence. Yes, that's you.
Brilliant. Carry on.
Charisma, all of those things.
You need 10 for the set. You've done 5.
Okay. Handsome, debonair, intelligent, sincere.
You've lost all credibility. You should have left out handsome.
Yeah, sure.
They were with you until that.
Tall.
They just turned off. No, you're just taking the mickey.
But surely you must think that talent is translatable to other things. Or you don't?
I like to think it is, but because I'm like a cottage industry, we do it all ourselves. When you write it, direct it, you're in it, you edit it, you worry about the font on the back of the DVD, and you do your own interviews. I can only do one thing per year. An actor can do 6 films, and they can leave and start another one. Whereas this consumes me, so it's a choice. I can either pop up in things, or I can sit in a room and write another sitcom, which will take a year to write, a year to film.
I'm not demeaning how hard it is to write.
But that's it, really. I like to take my time for many reasons. I mean, one I'd like to say is that I want it to be special and last, but really it's because I'm lazy and I work for 4 hours a day.
You don't?
5.
6.
7.
Say 8, for sure.
Yeah.
And when you take time, a couple hours out for lunch, which you don't take, it's easily 10.
I'm always thinking.
You
I'm
never turn it
always
off.
thinking.
When you go to sleep,
I've tried to catch myself not thinking, and I can't. I've tried to sit there and go, right, try and catch yourself not thinking, and I'm always thinking.
It's the way it is when you have a big brain.
Exactly, yeah. Big brain. That's it.
That's 6. Right. Now, John Cleese once said to me that about Faulty Towers, he said, we stopped because we could not match it. In other words, we got to a point where we had pulled everything out of ourselves that we had.
Yeah.
And that was all.
Yeah.
Because we realized if we did more, they wouldn't measure up. We couldn't get them up to the bar.
And the worry with that is it's not just like the third series wasn't as good as the first 2.
Yeah.
The third series detracts from the first 2. You know, it's sort of like, it's strange because even when I was doing it, I was sort of more interested in the legacy than enjoying the moment. And I was, you know, I always knew we'd stop. And I stopped for many reasons. That's one. That's so true. But people have let me down before. You know, I've seen 1, 2.
What people?
Oh, I'm not going to name names, but
I mean, what you mean?
But writers, directors of other comedy,
right.
They've done season 5, 6, and 7, and they're awful. And I think you took the money and ran, and shame on you. And I don't want people to think of me like that.
So.
And with The Office, there's a very specific reason. Is because it would beg credibility a little bit for a film crew to be hanging around a paper merchant in Slough for 20 years. It would be like the Truman Show, and realism was always a real framework for us. You know, we threw out jokes and funny scenarios because we thought it would undermine the realism. And I think in the long run, the more you feel something, the more you are in touch with something, the more it resonates. You know, the funniest person you know isn't an actor or a comedian. It's your friend that you've known for 25 years, and the little smile he does, or will crack you up because there's a weight behind it. There's 20 years investment in this guy. You know exactly what he means, and I think that in the long run will resonate. We also did it to last, hopefully. It seemed like it was sort of postmodern and new because there wasn't a laughter track and there was no famous people in it. But when we were doing it, we hoped that it would stand up to 10 viewings, and we put bits in, and hopefully you can watch it again. So I think it lasts in that way. And as I say, for me, a legacy is better than churning out more of the same, but not quite as good.
Then why did you do the Christmas special?
Oh, the money, no. Because we were actually going to end it all in 6, and we realised that we pulled back when we were writing the second 6, and thought, well, we could actually explore this now. We had a new injection, and that is the fact that they were going to become minor celebrities, which we sort of set out to explore in the long run, and it was nice to revisit them. So we left it with a cliffhanger. We also knew that we didn't want to do another whole series because we might stretch it. So, and we didn't give the BBC a time. It came in at that time, and that's how long it took. So we didn't want to be restricted to that and have to stretch it or condense it. So luckily they left us alone. I think, you know, it was as long as it was. That's how long it took, you know.
Where are you going now?
We're doing the next thing. We're doing the next sitcom. It's
Which
called
is?
Extras.
Oh, that's right. Tell me about this. I know a little bit about this.
Well, it's...
I just read about it. I mean, we just found out about this.
Well, as I said, you know, The Office was based on me writing about what I knew,
Right.
8 years in an office.
Yeah.
For the last 7 years, I've been in media. And this is about extras supporting actors.
Yeah.
And I play a guy who sort of jacked in his job, and I want to be an actor because I think I'm a great actor. I mean, really, it's because I think I'm going to get an easy life, of course. And it annoys me that people like Robert De Niro have got the breaks, and I just haven't got the breaks.
Otherwise, you'd be him.
Exactly, I'm better than him, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm very different to Brent in the sense that I'm very aware, and I am smart, and I'm a wisecracker, but in the face of adversity. But I'm in the wrong job in the sense that I'm actually, unlike David Brent in another way, that I'm a bit of... I'm misanthropic. I don't really like people. And I'm stuck in the green room for 8 hours a day with people, you know, chatting inanely about how much they like Harry Potter. And it drives me mad, because I just want to get this.
Is there a common denominator or in all the characters that you have created?
Yeah, vanity.
Vanity.
Delusion.
Delusion.
And not being at one.
Not being at one with themselves.
With the world.
With the world. Being odd person out with respect with the world.
Yeah.
Having said all that we have in this conversation, which I've enjoyed enormously, is there, do you have any driving obsession?
I want to build a big tower.
No, you don't.
And it's going to be called Gervais
and you
Tower.
Want different hair.
It's going to be huge. And I'm going to have...
I mean, you don't want to be a big movie star.
No.
You don't want to be... you don't want to have the biggest show ever in the history of television. No.
Well, I don't want to aim at that. See, again, there's nothing wrong with getting 20 million viewers.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with aiming at 20 million viewers, because then you'll come up with something that doesn't annoy anyone, that's anodyne, that's created for the masses, that washes over people. And I'd rather have 1 million viewers and it was their favourite programme than 20 million and it was their 9th favourite programme. Because I want to connect. The whole reason I do this is that I want to connect with other people. That's it.
The reason you
I don't want to meet them, though. They really annoy me.
But connect with them.
Yeah.
I want them to watch me.
I'm a man of people. Where are all these people?
I want them to watch me, but God help me if they come watch me buy a pair of pants.
Exactly. I love you. Get off my lawn.
Go away. Don't bother me. Just watch me.
Buy the DVD. It's available now.
Yes, look at this. Look at this. My God.
Yeah.
Now, this is a rather somber pose there, too, don't you think?
Yeah, look, vanity.
Yeah. Vanity again. Right here in the front.
Vanity, looking proud of his team in the front.
Vanity, in the front. Vanity.
Yeah, touching his tie, his power. I wear a tie.
The Office Special will air on BBC America on Thursday, October 21st, 2004. The Office Special DVD and the Office Collection DVD, they'll all be coming out on November 16th.
What an ideal Christmas gift for all the family.
I wonder if it's a coincidence they're coming out now.
Nana loves it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.